what would you think about Mike DAntoni going to the Sixers?
I think that would be a disaster. I don't think that Mike DAntoni should be the next head coach for the Philadelphia 76ers. And the primary reason is because I believe in Ben Simmons. I believe that Ben Simmons, outside of his shooting ability, he has literally every single other attribute. He's not scared. He doesn't fold in big moments. He can defend with the best of them. Obviously, his ball handling skills, his IQ is off the charts, and I think he's young enough where he has such tremendous, tremendous promise that with the right coach and somebody that could get on him and help improve his shooting, I think he can be a superstar in this league. Mike DAntoni is the kind of person that'll bench you if you don't take a three-point shot. Okay? You're going to launch threes or you're going to shoot layups. You shoot a mid-range shot, Mike DAntoni going to have a problem with you. You know what I mean? That's how he is. And so when I look at it from that perspective, along with the fact that defense is not prioritized, I don't think that's the place for Mike DAntoni. Mike DAntoni has been in Phoenix. He's been in New York. He's been in L.A. He's been in Houston. You hear rumors about him being in Indiana. He's never even been in an NBA Finals. That does not mean he can't coach, because we know he can. It does not mean he doesn't deserve to be a head coach, because he does, even though he keeps getting these opportunities. But to get the Philly job, considering how they're built, I'm not of that mindset, because I want to hold on to Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and I don't like the thought of D'Antoni coaching them.
First of all, doesn't Ty Lue have the job? Like, isn't Ty Lue heading to Philly? Isn't this what everyone's been hearing for weeks and weeks and weeks? And
should have been Brooklyn, some would say.
Right.
But the fact that hasn't happened, I don't know. I mean, it seems to me like Ty Lue's heading for Philly. We'll see whether that's right or wrong. But let's entertain D'Antoni to Philly for a second. On the one hand, just because he hasn't won with this kind of team doesn't mean he can't. You know, James Harden's a very different kind of player than Steve Nash was. And D'Antoni had a lot of success. No championships, but turned both times teams in the Western Conference into legitimate powerhouses with two very different kind of centerpiece players, right? Every great coach needs the extension of himself on the floor. And D'Antoni has used Steve Nash and now James Harden, two very different players, to do that. Who says he couldn't use Joel Embiid? But here's why he may not be able to. Embiid is a big, lumbering center. Maybe not by the standards of 20 years ago, but by the standards of today. I've never seen D'Antoni coach a team with a player like Embiid as a focal point on either side of the floor. And then Embiid doesn't like to run up and down the floor because he has a bad back and he came in with a bad knee and all that stuff. It seems like a bad fit, but there's even another, and by the way, the team doesn't have shooters, although I suppose it's easy enough to find complementary pieces that can shoot the ball. But there's another issue here. When has D'Antoni failed? D'Antoni failed in New York with Carmelo and in LA with Kobe. Because in both instances, he couldn't get the superstar player to buy in, for that guy to be the extension of the coach on the floor. That wasn't Carmelo. It was just an ill-suited matchup, and it wasn't Kobe. And in fact, the Lakers, people forget now, they had Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol, and Dwight Howard all on the same team. They were supposed to challenge the Heat that year, and they were imploding. And it wasn't until Kobe Bryant essentially staged a coup, like there was a mutiny on the team. Kobe said, no, I got this. We're going to play this way. They had a great record after that. That's when Kobe hurt his Achilles because he was playing himself 40 minutes a game, right? And D'Antoni couldn't stand up to that. Even Kobe had too much juice there. So when you can't get the signature player of the franchise to buy in, I don't think you can be successful. I don't see how D'Antoni would be able to get Embiid to do that, given the style of play. Yeah. And I think it would be a failure the way it was in New York and L.A.
Mark?
You know, it's crazy to me how we even talking about Mike D'Antoni when the Clippers were eliminated about 2 weeks ago, and we should have been hearing breaking news from Woj about Ty Lue going to the Clippers and it's signed, sealed, and delivered. The Clippers, the Philadelphia 76ers have been dysfunctional. The Houston Rockets, just a couple of weeks ago, they looked dysfunctional. So you mean to tell me that Mike D'Antoni is going to solve the problem with your two young stars when he couldn't get it together with two former MVPs still in their prime and Russell Westbrook and James Harden? Ty Lue is the guy for the job, period, point blank. I'm not being biased because Ty Lue is a brother of mine or I played for him.
Listen, I
think Ty Lue is heading to Philly. I believe.
Listen, I hope that he does. I'd rather him be there than with David Griffin in New Orleans because I think that New Orleans has a lot of work to do. I think Philadelphia, with the right coach, can contend for the title immediately. And so Ty Lue has a record as a championship coach. I think he deserves the opportunity. Plus, I know that he won't hesitate to hold dudes accountable. You literally have situations, and I hate talking about D'Antoni like this because I think he is a good coach and he is innovative offensively. Even though they were the best defensive team in a bubble at one point, the bottom line is that he wasn't the one that prioritized his defense. Elston Turner was doing that.
Always has a D coordinator.
And that's not to say other coaches don't do that. All I'm saying is it's not a priority. During halftimes, he's not known for making adjustments. D'Antoni lets you know he's very transparent. This is what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Figure out a way to stop us. And come playoff time, somebody always figures out a way to stop them, which is why he's been so many different places.
And Perk is back with us if you want to finish your thoughts, Perk.
Yeah, I mean,
All right.
greatest championships of all time and was able to manage Kevin Love, LeBron James, and Kyrie Irving. And when come back 3-1 down to a 73-9 Golden State Warriors team, he would be the perfect fit for Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, not Mike D'Antoni. Come on, Elton Brand, get it together. Ty Lue is the guy for the job.
Yeah, do you not
I don't think it's an Elton Brand.
I
don't think it's an Elton Brand decision per se. I know he has a say, but obviously from Josh Harris on down, Scott O'Neal and others, I think it's going to be a ruling by committee. I sincerely hope, though, they understand somebody's got to get Ben Simmons to shoot the ball more and not be fearful of it and go about the business of doing everything he can to be the great player we all know he can be. And somebody's going to have to hold Joel Embiid accountable as well because other than the Greek freak, nobody in the Eastern Conference should be able to mess with Joel Embiid.
Who's going to get the job in Philly? I predict it's Ty Lue.
I hope so, too. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.